It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball!
All right, SKOR North Twins Show, full show. Mackie, Judd, myself, Declan Goff here to talk the state of the Twins after a Hall of Fame weekend. Corey Keaschall going into the Twins Hall of Fame on Sunday. We're going to talk about some things we like, some things we don't like here, and maybe a new category because Judd's sick of vibe checks, I think, after with this team.
Vibe checks at this point, I agree with Judd.
I agree with Judd, too. Yeah.
It's like, okay,
it's
the vibes suggestion. Are what they are. But we should come up with, on this episode, another category or two that we can bring forward throughout the rest of the season.
A Twins vibe check right now is like taking the blood pressure of a dead person.
I think he's dead.
There's just a straight line. Unfortunate, but there's just a straight line.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I mean, I will. What's funny is just last week when we did our last vibe check, like the Twins were only, they looked like the vibes were a little bit more fun. Things looked like a little bit better. And ever since then, in the last week, and I'll give you some stats here, they went from 5.5 games out of the wild card this time last week on our State of the Twins to 9. So they lost almost 4 games of wild card runway in the last week. So it was.
I think it was this time last week when I said, if they go 5-2 against the Yankees and the Tigers, then it's on. It's on. Now we get the young guys have taken over, but there's just not quite enough pitching, and the hitting is still. Although, yesterday, I would say if you were to rank all the players on this team that you'd like to see get hot and hit some bombs in the next 2 months, 3 of the 4 of them, delivered yesterday, which was great. Absolutely. Give everyone a pencil bat, I think, is the moral of the story.
Yeah, an interesting little graphic there from admin at Twins. Write this down.
Write this down.
Brooks Lee goes yard.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
That's right. Tag us. Tag us.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
You unoriginal.
Here's some key categories here for the Twins. Here's where they stand on the season, and a little bit of some other stuff as well. So, Twins are 58-64. They have a -37 run differential on the season. They're 4th in the Central. 14 games back of the lead. 9 games now. 9 times. 9 games out of the wild card. 9? Oh, great movie. So I've also compiled some key offensive categories and pitching categories. And now that we've had a little over 2 weeks of a new roster post-trade deadline, here's where the Twins' offense and pitching ranks now that we've had a decent little sample here of about 16, 17 games. So the offense is 20th in runs scored since the nuking at the trade deadline. They're 25th in team OPS. Not great. Pitching, they're actually 12th in ERA since the trade deadline on July 31st. So not bad.
Hang the banner, baby. Hang the banner.
There's probably been a little bit of luck because 12th in ERA, 23rd in WHIP. So they are allowing their fair share of base runners. They're keeping that number down a little bit here. But now that we've had 2 to 3 weeks, we can kind of look at, okay, here's what the new Twins roster has done in the first 14, 15 games since the deadline. So since we're not doing a vibe check, which is fine, should we start with a favorite thing? Do you want to go least favorite? Let's do a favorite thing.
Hey, when they win the last game of a series, they hold them. They may have lost the series, but they won the momentum war.
They won the battle.
That's what I'm holding on to. They won the momentum war.
Judd, do you have a favorite Twins
thing? Do you
want
me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah. I want to go first. I want to talk about the genius of the Minnesota Twins and president of everything at Target Field, Derek Falvey. Because I want to talk about one of the greatest rope-a-dopes of all time. And that is how Derek Falvey dragged down the division-leading Tigers by somehow getting them to take Chris Paddack. Like this guy that we had to watch as a bust for how long? Like the Twins are like, we're going to get something from this turn-up. We're going to get... And they finally bail. They trade him in the division. Now, it used to be, oh my God, don't trade in the division. You never know how much you're going to help a team. Well, the Twins... secret agents. They knew exactly what they were doing. Chris Paddock has now, this is incredible. He has faced the Diamondbacks and the White Sox. So he's made 4 starts as a Tiger. The Diamondbacks and the White Sox, the Tigers have won both games, and he has given up 2 runs in 11 2/3. But when facing the Twins in 2 starts, 12 runs in 9 2/3 innings, 5 home runs against. The Twins knew exactly what they were doing. They said, we've been watching this guy pitch for long enough to know that this is a guy we could parade up a bunch of little leaguers in Twins jerseys and they'll hit this guy. So congratulations. We've thought you were dumb. We still probably pretty much across the board think that you are dumb, but this was a stroke of genius.
Yeah, so I think it was Gleeman that had the stats over the weekend here, yesterday, or maybe it was this morning. So Chris Paddack, in the games he started with the Twins here. Let me grab this here. I'm just going to do my own. In games he started with the Twins were 5, not Paddack himself, because there were some games where he actually pitched really well.
Yeah.
And they didn't score runs for
There
him.
was a stretch,
so I'm not going to completely put all this on Paddack.
Yeah, there was a stretch.
But the Twins were 5-15 in games started by Chris Paddack.
Okay.
And then in his 4 starts with the Tigers, 2 of them have come against the aforementioned Twins. The Twins are now 2-0 in games facing Chris Paddack. So 5-15. If you were to, if he were to just be on 2 or 3 different pitching staffs here bouncing around, the Twins would probably be in wild card.
Get right back in it.
But it is, yeah. And it's funny because Rocco kind of foreshadowed it before the game with his comments about, he said something like, we know what we're getting with him. We know that he's going to go out there and he's going to throw the ball over the plate, and we need to be ready to hit the ball over. Like, he's going to throw it over the plate.
And they were.
It's like, yeah, just like opposing teams have been for 6 years while you try to make something out of this. Chris Paddack gave the Twins a great month and a half. He had a kind of a clunker first 2 starts. And then, you know what? It was April 12th. It was like 2 months. It was April 12th until like the second week in June. And he pitched 11 games with a 2.25 earned run average. And the Twins gave him no run support. And they were 3-8 in those 11 games, despite the fact that Chris Paddack was awesome. And then the wheels came off again, and they traded him. So
I'm pretty sure I had a least favorite thing during that stretch of the Twins offense not helping out our friend Chris Paddack when he was absolutely shoving there. By the way, Enrique Jimenez, I'm not sure if it's Jimenez or Jimenez.
It depends on if you're from outstate / backwoods or if you're trying to be true to the actual pronunciation. But
okay.
Yeah.
He's the guy that they got in the Chris Paddack trade.
Yeah.
The catching prospect, 5'9", 170 pounds. He is off to a blistering start in Fort Myers. So in 12 games, he is slashing 282, 472, 538, OPS well over 1,000, 3 home runs, 9 RBI, 19 years old too. So so far they've gotten a pretty good return there from the Paddack trade. And Detroit, man, I think the broadcast, they were talking about it. Provis was talking about it yesterday. They were just reluctant to give up some of those top prospects. Probably should have maybe pushed some stuff in here. The Central's just, I feel like, a big shrug emoji the last 5 years. We don't know who's going to take it and run away with it. It should be the Twins. Here they are, failing to live up to that. Sometimes it's the Guardians. The White Sox won this division in 2021, for Christ's sake. So it's just a random AL Central. Favorite thing for me, and I know we keep talking about how awesome he's been, but it is Luke Keaschall, man. He's easily the most fun thing to watch right now on the Twins. And even though he has my wife yesterday when we were watching, who is that teenager on the Twins? I was like, that's Luke Keaschall. That's going to be actually the most fun guy to watch here over the next few months.
Yeah.
But there's also, and I know he showed it during the walk-off a week ago, there is a swagger there that is legit. He claims he's cool, calm, and collected, but when he pops up or when he does a mistake, he gets pissed off. I really like the way he carries himself on the field, off the field. He's been incredible, obviously, for the Twins here. He continues to just hit. I know we're probably going to talk a lot about him going forward, and it's an easy answer to do, but it's Luke Keaschall for me, man. He just continues to be kind of the new heart and soul of this Twins rebuild. Yeah,
I think the fact that he, with very few games played above AA, has just clicked like this, and again, even on the days where maybe the ball isn't falling in for a hit, he's just making contact. How many has he had? Has he had a multi-strikeout game with the Twins? Again, yesterday, four plate appearances, no strikeouts. I'm going to pull open his game log here because I want to answer this.
Yes, he's had a couple. He had
Okay.
one on Thursday against Detroit.
Oh, the first game of the series.
Yeah. But
it took 11 innings to get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't remember
Also
when
true.
the second strikeout came, but
Also
and then his second game against Atlanta. But like he didn't strike out all weekend. He's literally he's played like 40 games above Double-A, and you're facing a first place Tigers team Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know they played him on Thursday. He had 2 strikeouts, but he literally is up there, and there's something to be said for working counts, putting the bat on the ball, not being an automatic out, which has been far too often the case with young hitters in this lineup over the years. So I'm with you, man. To go up there and just put the bat on the ball on a regular basis is very, very refreshing.
Favorite thing for you, Phil?
Yeah, you know what it is? I'll give you one thing and then kind of a thing within the thing. That you had 3 key players hit home runs yesterday that you all want to see be part of this nucleus the next 3 to 5 years. Byron Buxton, who vehemently, aggressively defended his no-trade clause, even though teams are calling on him. So he has stuck a flag in the ground and said, I'm here. I'm having the best season of my career. He's back healthy again. He had 3 more hits, a bomb. So Buxton homers. Royce Lewis, that was a vintage Royce Lewis rocket home run.
How about
to
that?
left field. Just like it barely gets 15 feet off the ground. More of that from Royce Lewis. He's also, when Royce Lewis is drawing walks and working counts, that's another, okay, he's starting to lock it in here. Of course, he's back. I think he was hitting 8th at one point this weekend. He was hitting 7th yesterday. And then Brooks Lee, who I want to drill down on in a second. The overall numbers are not great for him. 245 average, 288 OBP. Like that is 60 points lower than his minor league on base percentage. And the slugging percentage is still just in there at 383. So he has been a far below average offensive contributor when you just look at the numbers. But I feel like with continuing with the eye test, there's still something there, man. Like that, he can hit the ball to all fields.
Yep.
He hits the first grand slam of the season for the Twins. And even though the totality of his offense has not fully come around yet, he's still only 24 years old. And if he plays regularly the rest of the season, he's going to wind up with a professional or college career single season high in home runs. Mm-hmm. So the most home runs he's ever hit in one season, and this includes like seasons where he played at multiple levels, was 16 home runs between Double and Triple-A in 2023. So there's some like developing power there that's still coming around. And by the end of the year, he might wind up with like 18 homers, 17 RBIs, and then you want to see the on-base number get well over 300 at some point, and the slugging and the OPS along with it. But there's still some great flashes of offense from Brooks Lee, who is still trying to figure this thing out.
He's your shortstop going into next spring, right? Like I don't see.
Yeah.
Like the arm, he made another play. Was it Thursday or it might have been Friday? That was just phenomenal at shortstop. Yeah. I'm with you. I think that this is a guy who we shouldn't become too obsessed with his statistics right now. He is one of those guys that strikes me as he just needs at bats. And at some point in time, it's going to click. But it clicks enough. Like you can tell when a guy's sort of a dud, right? When a guy's going to be a dud and when a guy's like, okay, he's not perfect right now, but I see things. Mm-hmm. And in the case of Brooks Lee, you see enough good at bats and good qualities that like this is worth seeing through because I think he's going to become really good.
He has a total looser nature, I feel like personality wise, and just watching him in the clubhouse post trade deadline, like in a positive way, not in a negative way. He just feels a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident. You're seeing the funny celebrations, right? He's pretending to be a bull at second base where he's kicking the dirt. Like, there seems to be something about this trade deadline that has maybe sparked him in a good way. Probably because he knows where he's playing every day, and he gets a chance here to show that he's not just like in the lineup every other day, or am I at second today? Am I at third base today? Even though I have to play short, he is your everyday shortstop. Yeah. Judd, to answer your question, I think it's probably a pretty safe assumption that on opening day in 26, he's probably your opening day shortstop. But yeah, there's something about him that I've just noticed from being in the clubhouse since the trade deadline that there's a refreshing feel to him. He's just walking around a little lighter and easier.
Yeah, and he should. I mean, the organization has essentially, I mean, among all of the the public turmoil here. Internally, they've essentially said, all right, Brooks Lee, Luke Keaschall, Royce Lewis, for right now, this is your infield. And you guys are all in your mid to early 20s. So if this works out the way that we saw in the 80s when you just gave the keys to the youngsters, or the early 2000s, this could be kind of like that if all these guys now Royce is a year further ahead service time wise, but those guys all have like between 4 and 6 years of service time. They're all young. They're all going to be kind of growing up together if the Twins keep the 3 of those guys intact, and they're all very high draft picks with a lot of potential.
I don't think we got a chance to talk about this. It might have been a quote because Pablo threw that simulated game on Friday, right, Dex?
Yeah.
Did you guys see the quote from Pablo about that and ended with basically, we've had a couple of years where the culture's not great?
I didn't see that quote.
He had a quote about the culture. And I think it's no mistake that certain guys are more carefree now. I'm sorry, and we can talk about it, but I think this goes back to largely one guy, Carlos Correa. I really do. I think
it's also an indictment on Rocco, though, too.
100%
As the manager, it is
100%.
your job to create and empower players and
Absolutely.
create a better culture.
And if you go back to like in 2019, if Nelson Cruz wasn't the just mega great personality, they don't win the division. They don't play like that. So no, it's definitely a strike against Baldelli, but I also think that it's further justification of why it would have been nice to get something for Carlos, but I do think that they moved off the right guy. I really do. And perhaps it works elsewhere. I don't know. But it's interesting that Pablo, who's a veteran, who I think is probably a quiet guy, but Deck's well respected. He seems to be a very respected guy. If he's going to say that, like that to me begs for a follow-up of, what are you talking about exactly? Because that to me is an incredibly, if it's an arrogant guy or a guy who's not that great, who's just like, I'm glad Correa's gone, then I'm like, okay, that's not a real reliable source for the quote. But Pablo Lopez saying something like that to me carries a lot of punch.
Mm-hmm. He's easily one of the more highly intellectual athletes I have ever been around, Pablo. Yep. I remember last year talking to him about his breathing exercises he does, because as a human, you're breathing more than that's the one thing you're doing more than any other time in your life. You are spending breathing. He's just wound a different way, and in a positive way, and he is definitely like a leader of that clubhouse. But yeah, and with Correa, with it probably being a sideways shot or just looking at what Correa has brought when he was here with the Twins. He's a highly, highly competitive dude. And if guys aren't either living up to their expectations, whether that's development-wise, whether that's the own player's fault, he doesn't have patience for that. He doesn't. And maybe he could be a better leader on how to get people out of that. Certainly. Absolutely. But he clearly doesn't have any patience for that when it's go time. And he knows maybe his body, too, is maybe on the backside of how many prime years he has left. He doesn't want to see that out. So him going back to Houston, him probably leading the Astros another playoff berth and maybe even another World Series run, which is totally plausible with that team, I think fits him very well, and he didn't want to be a part of this anymore.
Where Correa lost me completely was last year when he had missed a ton of time. He comes back and he immediately insinuates that the young guys aren't doing their job. You can't not be playing, come back, and then pull that act.
Unless you're doing it the right way privately.
Oh,
and
sure.
You've had that conversation privately.
Absolutely.
And it's not getting through, and your next recourse is, oh, you guys, all right, listen, you don't want to listen to me behind the scenes? Well, I'm going to shine a light on this because it's a problem. But if he's doing it kind of for show for the media, but he's not connecting with players behind the scenes, then, yeah, it's kind of a bad look.
So
I mean, you guys think he's talking about Correa. There was other guys that were traded that were on there. I mean, Louis Varland might have been the cancer in that clubhouse, you know?
So
Ty
the
France.
So part of the Pablo quote on Friday was from Pablo was, culture is one thing we've been lacking the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, okay. So whose job in a clubhouse is it to set the culture? Let's start with the number one starting pitcher on some fronts, but it's a little harder when you're a pitcher and you only play once every 5 days. So I would say, in some ways, that's a little bit of a self-own by Pablo.
Sure.
But I'm not. He is a positive piece to this, so I'm not going to get on him too much. But then on the position player side, yeah, obviously the highest paid veteran player in Carlos Correa would be, you'd kind of defer to that guy by nature. He's a World Series winner. He's been to All-Star games, et cetera, maybe on a Hall of Fame trajectory if he keeps playing well. But the manager, the front office, down to the manager for creating the room, you bring the players in, and then it is up to you to some extent as the manager. You're not going to be able to control people's personalities, but you can't just be along for the ride. So if they allowed bad culture to fester for 2 or 3 years, A, that's on the organization, but B, it also helped explain this epidemic on this team of a lot of really good, talented young players not flourishing to the top of their ability. How many players have we talked about on this show all summer that were high draft picks or highly touted, highly ranked 21, 22-year-old prospects? And it's not that they're train wrecks, but they're either not living up to what they should be, or they're bouncing back and forth between the minors for far too long, or they're batting 8th for the St. Paul Saints in the case of Miranda. So, like, if you have a bad culture, how are you going to get everyone to play at their 90th percentile that should, right? It makes it harder.
I'll tell you what you do, Pablo. You go get some Grandpa's barbecue, and you have a big barbecue for the entire team, okay? From our guys at Grandpa's Barbecue Sauce, the dry rubs, the sauces, plenty of awesome stuff. Locally, they're here at Fratelloni's. Plus, you can get them on grandpasbarbecueshop.com. Free shipping on orders of $50 or more. Plus, your proceeds go to help Xeroderma pigmentosum, which is a genetic disorder from UV light, so you're supporting a good cause too. Go to grandpasbarbecueshop.com to stock up on all of those supplies.
And then to get the barbecue and the meat cleaned out of your teeth, you can schedule an appointment at Park Dental, supporting the SKOR North Twins Show here. In fact, the Twins at times have been harder to watch than a root canal. Huh? Got plenty more jokes where those came from.
Here all week.
For over 50 years, Park Dental's been caring for and cleaning teeth in the Twin Cities and western Wisconsin, and they make it really convenient too. Many practices are open at 7 a.m., so you can pop in before work, and most practices are open until 8 p.m. at least one night a week as well. So schedule your checkup at parkdental.com. That's parkdental.com.
Okay, least favorite thing. I'll give you one to start here. It worked out yesterday, which is fine, but can we stop with the TBA starting pitcher opener? We don't know who's starting 24 hours prior. Like, all right, I understand Mick Abel, who, by the way, shoved on Saturday. 11 strikeouts, no walks. He looked a lot stronger. Yesterday, Taj Bradley, who they got in the Griffin jackstrap at Tampa, mixed bag. Went 3 2/3 in his, I think, third start with St. Paul. Gave up 5 runs. Did strike out 8 guys. But can we stop doing the shrug emoji of we don't really know yet. We don't really know who's going to start the 4th day. Simeon is on his way back from one of the nastiest stomach flus and situations that ever happened. He lost. Yeah, He had a parasite.
That's not the stomach flu. That's something eating away at you.
Yeah. So he's making rehab starts. So they're getting close to getting Sim back. We're going to eventually see Abel and probably Taj Bradley with the Twins. But this whole opener TBA thing, can we just put this to rest, please?
Well, the way that you would put it to rest is by making, for example, Mick Abel part of your starting rotation, right?
Yeah.
You just, he's one of the guys. He's a 15th overall pick. He's a first-round pick, 15th overall pick, who's been a top 50 Baseball America or MLB.com prospect for 3 years, and pretty obviously has conquered AAA between. Is it Lehigh? Who's the Phillies? Whatever, the Phillies
Valley.
AAA team.
Yeah.
He's made 16 starts in AAA this year, a 2.22 earned run average, and 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, a whip of 1.10. This is a service time play, right? You would keep him in AAA until further into the season. We'd have to do the service time math here, or maybe I'm being slanderous if you math this out. But the longer you keep him down in the minor leagues, the longer you prevent his clock from starting in the major leagues. That has to play, because there's no way the Twins can justifiably say that we love the 5 options above Mick Abel, and 2 of them being we don't know who's pitching tomorrow at this point, right?
And what really makes no sense, though, is so their justification is, well, we want to send these guys down because we're going to work with them there, and we don't want them to get hit like in the big leagues. But my question is, but your big league staff, aren't they the people that you want them to work with? Like if Pete Mackey is your pitching coach, right? Don't you want Mick Abel to work with Pete? Like I guess the justification to me, like it's a different thing if it's a double-A kid, right? He's not coming up. I get that. But yeah, these guys that are on that were in the big leagues and now are being sent down, and it's like, well, we're going to work with them down there. Rings pretty hollow to me.
So on the service time thing, so he was his debut was earlier this season with the Phillies. He was called up, made 6 starts. I think it was, well, he got called up May 18th and then sent back down. Was lights out, by the way.
Yeah.
6 innings, no runs, 9 strikeouts, no walks in his major league debut. And then they send him back down, I think.
I think that
and
was
then
right.
he came back up for the entire month of June.
Yeah.
And then 1 start in July.
Started to walk
And
guys.
was kind of up and down. He had the 5 walks in that last start, inning and 2/3. So by my math, he has accrued probably 30 days of major league service time. So again, this is all based on like year by year, it can be different, but it's possible that if they were to hold him down in the minor leagues until the end of the season, which I don't think they'll be able to do justifiably, that you could tack another year of service time on the back end of this thing. But that is sometimes what teams do. I am not going to claim to be updated on the current service time math, but that's the only justification, right? Like he's clearly one of your 5 best starting pitching options at this point.
Connor Prelip too called up to the Twins, called up to the Saints, excuse me, from Double-A. Prelip, a lefty. They've been very cautious with him. I think he's the 9th prospect now in the org. At one point was, I think, their top pitching prospect, but now he is in St. Paul. He might factor into their bullpen plans. I wouldn't be surprised maybe at some point at the end of the year just to get a look-see at him. But some interesting arms in AAA. Least favorite thing for you, Judd?
Oh, this is simple. I'm going to go back to the aforementioned Pablo Lopez. And I'm going to say this very simply. As far as starting another game this season in the big league, shut him down. If he wants to do sim games, that's fine. But he's like, I want to come back and pitch to get back in the routine of things. There is no reason for him to throw another game this season. They're done. The TBA thing, I'm with you, but there's ways to get around that with other guys that can start. You know what? Get him ready for spring training and move on from there. I just don't see any good reason to send him out to pitch in a game. So that's my least favorite thing.
Yeah,
he wants to do it. I'd say sorry.
It's a shoulder, right? It's a shoulder for him.
Teres. Yeah.
Teres major strain.
Teres major, your tricep.
Your tricep. Okay. Yeah. But if that is weakened, it's connected to your shoulder and your elbow. It's like you better make sure do not rush him. So I'm with Judd on that front. But if everyone deems that, he's fully healthy, there's literally nothing, and there's a month left in the season, I'm fine if he runs out there and just gets a little good juju before going into his off season. If it's like, okay, this injury is put to bed, the only risk is like another injury randomly that has nothing to do with this injury, then that risk exists anyways. So I would run him out there if he's fully cleared for a handful of starts so he can feel good about his offseason.
As a guy who's been around several, like the sports
here we go.
medicine community for a long time,
okay,
and has been passing judgment on teams that do dumb things. And let's be frank here, I don't trust the Twins. I don't trust them.
But you're not going to trust them in April either when he's like,
no, but I'm saying there's no
trade him. They got to trade him.
There's no
can't trust the Twins.
Don't laugh. They might, but there is no reason for him, in my opinion, to pitch in September. Continue to go through your work. I'm not saying go home, but I just don't see a real compelling case of he should throw in a game. And for right now, I don't trust the doctors or the medical staff or anybody, so I am going to say, hey, stick around. We'll work with you. It's great. I don't need you to start another game this season. It's over.
But if we're talking about culture and you're talking about making sure your ace is in a good spot where he also maybe not, yes, he could get traded from the front office. He doesn't have a no trade clause. but you also should not create a problem where your ace says, you know what? Okay, everyone else was right. Get me the hell out of here. They won't even let me pitch. I think there's two edges to this. I don't think we can say that the culture is being shifted and it's being better and Pablo's one of the leaders. And if your leader says, I've checked all the boxes medically, I'm good to pitch, let me throw 4 or 5 times, I think that's more important than someone coming up to him and saying, actually, Pablo, we're going to sit you down. Why don't you just continue to do some simulated games? I don't think that's good for culture at all.
And I'm going to add to Declan's point. Let's build a cultural argument here. Yep. What's more valuable down the stretch for those? Let's say he makes 5 starts in September, right?
Yep.
If he's ready for that.
Yep.
What's more valuable, him making those 5 starts and you being in some tight games, high leverage situations for Brooks Lee, for Luke Keaschall in like actual close games, or you're down 8-2 in the 4th inning because it's another bullpen game, or we're running out some inferior starting pitching, and now they're literally just going through the motions in a non-competitive game as young hitters?
Well, first of all, there is no game in which they have the luxury of doing that. Like if they do, then I really want to talk to them. But the thing about culture is the culture in the clubhouse is my concern. The culture from Baldelli saying, "Hey, look, here's what's best for you." That's good culture. That's good culture. They get pushed around. My issue with, in fact, this is my problem with Rocco especially. I think he's too sympathetic at times and allows the players to run amok. So in this case, I'm just saying, I would say, Pablo, you're a very smart guy. We love you. You could have been a doctor. We're not going to. You're not going to pitch again.
You could have been a doctor, so you know, right? This is not
exactly
safe to go out there.
And if anybody on that team says, "Well, Pablo should be pitching," they're in my office and they are getting chewed out because they need to be concentrating on themselves. Culture to me comes from within the clubhouse, but it also, the tricky thing here is, and this is where Kevin O'Connell probably balances it really well. Kevin O'Connell is a player's coach, but he can be incredibly tough on players. Like Baldelli, I don't think knows how to balance that act yet. That's a different discussion.
So just to be clear and just to summarize, you want an organizational culture where they baby and coddle players who could otherwise be playing.
I want an organizational
This is why
culture
Byron Buxton spends a half season on the injured list every year because of the culture that you are pushing for right now.
I want an organizational culture where they don't get pushed around by the players. I want an organizational culture where the shortstop never again, basically, and it's laughed about, says, "I'm going to go talk to the manager and GM about this. I'll take care of this."
Or I'm gonna mediate. Listen, this guy has an issue.
You're being pushed around. Like you look like complete pathetic. You know, Correa, they laughed about it. I mean, Derek was like, "Yeah, he's the assistant GM." If I'm a player, that's not funny. You're telling me that a teammate of mine is pushing you around? So yeah, I mean, culture. Well, Phil knows this. You run SKOR North, basically.
And we have a terrible culture.
Terrible.
It's very toxic.
Yeah. We have a great. Well,
you're the Carlos Correa. Okay, you're the one.
We have a great culture because, in part, you allow people to do their thing, but when it comes to time of, hey, let's do this, you're pretty good at doing that as well.
Thank you.
So I think this is a very. I mean, I love this discussion, and again, in 2019, we sort of got fooled because Nelson Cruz was a godsend.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, actually, that brings me to my least favorite Twins thing real quick. I'm glad you mentioned Nelson Cruz, and it's a totally different conversation here. It's about, so Corey Koski went into the Twins Hall of Fame over the weekend, and he was a key part of those 2000. Well, he came up like a couple years before they got good, and showed some major productivity, and then he was at the center and the heartbeat of some of the best Twins teams of this quarter century in the early 2000s. So congrats to Corey Koski. Judd and I have done a couple podcasts and radio shows with him. Super nice and gracious guy. But it brings me to my least favorite Twins thing, which is I fear that the cupboard is getting pretty bare for future candidates for Twins Hall of Fame. And not to keep picking on the Falvey regime here, but Falvey and company took over in 2017. And I'm wondering, so it's been almost 10 years, 8-9 years, how many players from the current regime of Twins baseball, starting back in like 2017 to now, are likely to be Twins Hall of Famers?
Dozier will get in.
But Dozier was like,
Terry Ryan guy though.
He's more of a Terry Ryan era
I guess
guy.
that's what you're saying. Okay.
But he will.
In fact, his parting ways here, he was pissed at this new front office for not helping them at the 2017 trade deadline.
Yep.
So I would actually take Dozier off the board because he's been on the ballot as more of a Terry Ryan guy.
Yeah,
2017 on. That's a great question.
I mean, Byron Buxton's going to get in,
but he's drafted in 2000.
Yeah, but I'm not talking drafted by. I mean, like, did most of their productivity come during the? I'm not saying like Falvey deserves full credit, but did most of their productivity come in the Falvey era? And maybe Dozier's did. Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought Dozier was like, let's see here.
Well, they came in what in 2017?
17 was their first full year.
Dozier was good then, and then they traded him in 2018.
Yep.
So there you go. So Dozier's main productivity came 13 through 2017. His biggest season was 2016, the last year of Terry Ryan. So he's off the board. Buxton was obviously drafted by Terry Ryan's regime, but most of his productivity has come in fragments, but during the Falvey era.
But he'll definitely get in. Dozier will get in.
Nelson Cruz.
No, he can't get in. He had two very productive years, one great year. But
if you put him in, you have to put Jim Thome in too.
Yeah, no.
The 1 year DH.
Nelson Cruz got no shot.
Joe Ryan?
Well, that's a good possibility, I think, at the end of the day.
If they don't trade him this offseason and he keeps stacking these seasons.
Joe Ryan?
I'm trying to think of
Jorge Polanco?
No, I don't think so. Nice player, but I don't think he belongs.
I think Max Kepler gets in.
They'll put in Kepler just for
pride. I don't want Kepler in.
Just for like organizational pride?
Yes.
Okay.
God.
Jose Barrios?
I was thinking Barrios too. He was a very solid starter, but
I have
still.
I have to go look at the production. If unfortunately, it feels like at the end of the day, by the time he got traded, he had disappointed more than like I think we expected great things when he came up, and I mean at his best he was fantastic. But man, the August swoons was it? Every August he'd like go in a tank.
Yohan Duran?
But
4 years, 3.5 years as a pretty good, damn good closer, but it
doesn't feel like enough to me.
It's got to be more, yeah.
Boy,
I mean, he did close out the playoff series win, right?
Yeah.
So he's got a moment.
If he just takes off and goes back to who he should be, I mean, Royce should be the bullet. He should be the golden goose here. Yeah. I mean, he should.
But he's nowhere close now. He would have to he'd have to produce for like 4 or 5 solid seasons to even be in consideration.
Is Joe Ryan the only one who is really tracking?
But is he fully? He's kind of tracking, but he's only been this good for like 2 years, right?
No, right. But I'm trying to give you names.
I know.
Like I don't think Polanco belongs.
You know what, Joe Ryan? This is like his 4th pretty damn good season with the Twins. Okay, okay. But this is his first All-Star season.
Okay, but
where he's been next level.
But does Duran? I mean, Duran is like he would have been tracking if he had stayed here.
Yeah.
But it feels like he got short circuited as far as time here. I
would shut Joe Ryan down for the rest of the season. By the way,
I have no problem with that. Send Joe home to go enjoy life.
So Pearson Ole, we need to start Pearson Ole every 5th day and just suffer the consequences of a 32 first pitch inning.
We're gonna turn it back to 100 years ago when you'd pitch like 2 days in a row as a
Pablo
starter.
Lopez is coming off a major injury and hasn't pitched in months, so that's a very different thing than Joe.
Luis Arraez?
No.
Won a batting title?
He won a batting title.
Hit 314 with the Twins.
Surprise, dude. Super fan favorite.
What's his years?
He might come back here, by the way. I know Doogie kind of threw that out here.
Can he play first base at all? Like, is he?
He can play first.
I know he does.
Is Luis Arraez now a fit?
At first base? Yeah.
No, I know, but like how he plays, they couldn't wait to trade him. Because
you want to talk about like he's not very athletic. He can hit. That's his thing.
He can hit.
He can hit. He's got the hit stick.
Career 318 hitter.
What's his years with the Twins, Dex? How many years did he spend here?
4 years, and accumulated 9.6 WAR in those 4 years. Won a batting title. Hit 314 with the Twins.
Hey, and guess what?
Which is hard to do in today's.
You know
baseball.
what? It is. You don't need to put. Unfortunately, you don't need to ramrod guys in. Like we might have just hit. Like to me, it feels like the ballot. Like you could put Smalley in based on a very, he was good here.
Broadcasting.
An all-star. But yes, exactly. Like Dan Gladden 2 World Series probably gets him in, but his service then to the team also helps him, right?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like you need to put guys in to just say, hey, we're giving away pins on Sunday.
Koski and Kadire are both kind of like, all right, like they're Twins Hall of Famers. They are organizational development guys who played really key roles. But, you can't go really like below. I think those guys set the bar for like, yeah, you need to be Koski, Kadire level to be a Twins Hall of Famer.
And that group also gets a lot of grace deservingly from the fact that was a great run. Now, I know that you didn't win playoff series and you didn't make deep runs, but that was a lot of success there. And so they became fan favorites based partially on that success.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing is, in the target field era, it basically has to be guys that had stretches of time in which they were just great, because we don't have a lot of great baseball.
Yeah. So let us know in the comment section on the SKOR North YouTube channel, the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. And are we missing any obvious names? Be interested to see what people say.
Hit the like button, subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone. We're still pumping out plenty of content here, even though Judd wants to shut everything down. So that's the SKOR North Twins Show.
Just
Mackey,
Pablo Lopez.
Judd, Deck.
Shut him down. Shut him down.
Trevor Plouffe tomorrow on the SKOR North Twins Show.